Raise your hand if you've been personally victimized by Love is Blind. Because what was that? Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. We will be discussing the shit show that was the Love is Blind reunion. Let's just jump right into it. So we find out that the reunion is being filmed a year and a half after the couples said I do when I don't. We see Lydia and Milton and Stacy and Izzy. Lydia and Milton look really settled into their marriage. Milton, is giving the speech of he's a grown man and he's saying that he comes home early from work and he just looks forward to being with his wife. We saw that they got remarried in Puerto Rico, which is nice for Lydia's family. Lydia went on to say that she is closer with his family. And of course, in Lydia fashion, apparently she vents to Milton's mom about him. And I think that that's something that may get old soon. So I would tread lightly on that one. But apparently, in her being so expressive, it apparently has softened his family. His relationship with his family has gotten better, which we love to see. Nick and Vanessa were there, as expected. They were trying so hard not to get torn up by the internet, and you can tell with their questions. So Nick asked Milton and Lydia what plans they had for their future, and while Milton went on about a potential finance planning, they immediately were like, oh, speaking of finances, and pivoted to Stacy and Izzy, which I thought was hilarious, but also shady. And they had a lot of shady moments throughout. Stacy and Izzy are obviously not together, but Stacy says that she's heartbroken because she would have liked to be in a position to say yes to Izzy. Izzy goes on to say that he thought the finances weren't going to be a big deal, and Stacy was like, that's not true because you literally said that you were trying to find the right moment to tell me. And Izzy did that thing that he always does where he turns things around so that it's off him. And he went on to say, well, other people in the pods knew about it. And she was like, and I asked you and you didn't say anything. Just shady. Apparently he was so salty and she was so over things that they didn't talk after their wedding. They decided to just cool off. And then they apparently ran into each other at a bar. Kisses were shared, a few dates were shared, but they decided that they didn't want to have a full relationship. Mainly because Stacy wanted to start over brand new and Izzy he just wanted to hop back in where they left off. And they were just clearly on different pages. And salty Izzy admitted that he was really angry post their altar situation. But I found that very strange that he was so upset because I saw that Stacy did a behind the scenes interview for Extra, and she revealed that she had called Izzy the night before the wedding and that they were on the phone for a long time, and she told him that she was going to say no, and she was even offering him like an out. She was like, if you don't go to the altar, like it's fine, like I can handle it. So he knew that she was going to say no. So that moment at the altar was clearly fake or probably like a last cry, last attempt on his end. But it seems like she was pretty decided. I was also curious because they didn't address it at the reunion. Izzy said some really nasty things about Stacy when he was talking to the producer when he went off about her being single at her age and him being able to offer her the world, which the lie detector determined that was a lie. Stacy did see it, and she was just like, I was heartbroken to see him so hurt, because again, I didn't expect him to be that hurt after the conversation that we had the night before. Messy. Stacy and Izzy had a lot more issues in their relationship, among them it being Johnny living in their brains rent-free. So of course they bring out Johnny and Chris. And Stacy and Izzy are like making the little bitchy faces, being mean girls, both of them. Well, we found out the tea that I wasn't expecting to consume. Tea that I was just like, am I hearing this correctly? So, Chris and Johnny are not together, which is fine. But what we learn is that that weekend that we saw them at the barbecue was Johnny's birthday, bitch. I have to hold this. I have to hold my support cushion because I can't believe this. So Chris and Johnny were together. That barbecue weekend where Izzy was like, yeah, she told me she loved me 4 times, and they ganged up on Johnny, that was her birthday weekend. Chris wasn't going to be with her because Chris had to go to a wedding. So Chris goes away for a wedding. He comes back the next, however many days. Johnny doesn't hear from him. She doesn't see him at all the next week. And then he just literally ghosted her. And she found out through a friend that Chris has a brand new girlfriend. And everyone's listening to this and they're like putting 2 and 2 together and they're like, wait, so you cheated on Johnny? And he's like, yeah, I cheated. And everyone's like, you were defending this girl with your life. And he was like, yeah, because I love her and that's what you do. You stand up for people that you love. And everyone's like, yeah, but you cheat on people you love too? And he's like, that's the way the cookie crumbled. I did not expect Chris to be added to my villain bunch. And Johnny, I mean, this was like a year and a half ago, so he's apologized since, and Johnny, seems to have forgiven him. That's questionable though, because we learned some more things, but she forgave him, and he's like, listen, I have no regrets. That girl that I did that thing with is my current partner, and we live together, and we're the real deal. So he basically was like, I'm sorry you were a casualty in this, but I'm really happy. And everyone was just like, they just did not see that coming. And of course, Vanessa's like, takes this opportunity to be like, one thing, I didn't realize all the tension that was in the pods between Stacey and Johnny. And so Stacey goes on and on about how all the things that she heard that Johnny was saying about her. But here's the thing. There was girl-on-girl crime here from both sides. We saw that Johnny was salty and was mostly talking ish about Stacey after Izzy picked her. But before that, we saw all those glimpses of every time Johnny would come in excited from talking to Izzy, like all the looks that Stacey was giving her. So you're going to tell me that Stacey wasn't saying nasty things about Johnny? Because everyone knew that Izzy was Johnny's first choice, but Stacey kept it to herself, but then was like scowling every time the camera was on her. So I don't believe that. And Stacey went on social media to talk about the situations. Like, I'm guessing she's been getting a lot of heat for the way she's treated Johnny. And she posted a bunch of nothing on her social media, trying to basically defend her actions. But everything she said isn't any different from what she's already said on television, and it isn't any different from what we've seen. My problem with the whole situation isn't that Stacey defended herself. Everyone has a right to defend themselves. The problem is that if you have an issue, you handle it one-on-one. But ganging up on your fiance's ex with your fiance is twisted. And nitpicking every time the girl makes some type of reaction that has nothing to do with you is also BS. So that's why I'm like, you are a mean girl, you are a rich mean girl, and you got called out for it, and it looks ugly because it is ugly behavior. It is what it is. Own it. It's just so clear that Johnny is living rent-free in Stacey's head. It's so clear that this is a one-sided beef because she's so pressed about it. And Johnny is so unbothered and was just kikiing with Chris on the side. I'm guessing they haven't talked since they broke up or something because they were just like catching up and like apologizing to each other on the side. Sure, it was rude. She wasn't listening to the floor, at least to the hosts. And you could tell Vanessa was a little peeved by it. Which is one thing I don't like about the Lachey's, particularly Vanessa, is that she makes it so obvious where her bias lies, and they're just not great hosts. They also miss opportunities to ask questions. It's just. But anyway, so yeah, that was a moment. It was a moment of tension. Izzy gives a half-ass apology to Johnny. And it's just, he's so fake. It's funny because he called her fake, but we later find out that he hooked up with Johnny once he knew that him and Stacey weren't going to get back together. Him and Johnny saw each other at a bar and apparently made out. And I loved that they caught him in this moment because he's a hypocrite. Because even Stacey at that moment is like, I'm surprised that happened because of all the things that you said about Johnny. And that's the thing. He's always been attracted to Johnny. He was just pressed that Johnny picked someone else in front of him. And you could just see the body language shift. Because obviously, Stacey knows Izzy is out here and she's heard about it. But it's just the Johnny of it all. I think that she's never going to get over the fact that Johnny was his first choice for a very long time. And it is what it is. I was just looking at Johnny Johnny, the way this man treated you, he doesn't deserve any of your time. So seeing her knowing that she had that moment with Izzy and then seeing her kiki with Chris, I'm just like, this is Aaliyah and Uche flashbacks. Pick yourself up. Pick yourself up. Do not give these people that hurt you so much of your time, so much of yourself. Anyway, to wrap up Izzy and Stacey, they were really trying to play up this, we're exes that are friends, haha, we're quirky kind of thing. They were saying that they ran into each other at a bar and her family still loves him. They've also mentioned that they accidentally found each other at a double date situation, and that Stacey gives Izzy dating advice. It is just so awkward. So Vanessa Lachey is like, Lydia, during the pods, you not only found love, you found friendship. And they proceeded to show a reel of her and Aaliyah's friendship pre and post Uche. They bring out Aaliyah. She looks incredible. Her skin is just oiled up. She looks like a goddess. And Lydia has this stank face because she knows what's coming. And before anyone says anything, because we just saw the footage of her being like, and his dog likes me, and his friends like me, and he drives this. I've seen his house. We saw that clip. And Lydia's Lydia's excuse is that she didn't read the room correctly and that she was just being honest, and that's how she always is with all her girlfriends. And she started to cry. And it was just one of those things that I'm like, I like Lydia, but that situation was just so messed up. And you can tell that she knew that it looked bad. Aaliyah said that she left because she set boundaries, and Lydia basically was a bull in a china shop. She just bum rushed those boundaries. And Aaliyah was like, I don't believe that they're going to continue to be respected throughout this experience. Aaliyah was, she felt cheated out of her experience. Nick Lachey went in with the PR clip, and he basically explained very slowly the thought process of the producers and how they wanted to basically keep the integrity of the experiment. We saw it in the People magazine article, so we know the verbiage was very familiar. But Aaliyah was like, you know what? I wish then that they would have been allowed to share with us sooner, because then she would have been able to separate herself from Lydia. But the whole time she was building this bond, and it was deceit threaded throughout, because Lydia was saying things while Aaliyah was in the dark. Then Aaliyah was like, Lydia, I need you to clear some things up, because I heard from a few women that you kept saying that I have this feeling that I'm going to run into an ex of mine. And that doesn't feel like a coincidence. And off camera, Lydia apparently told Aaliyah that her and Uche wanted to go on the show. And so Lydia's like, in November of 2021, Uche and I had a conversation where he was like, did you see the casting? And I was like, yeah, I saw the casting. And apparently that was the end of the conversation. They are so talkative. There is no way that was the end of the conversation. Like, we weren't born yesterday. This is where I wish Milton hadn't said anything, but I understand why he said it. So Milton, husband of the year, is here defending Lydia's character, saying that Uche basically is the op in the situation because he was purposely trying to fish out who was dating Lydia, and when he found out that Milton and Lydia were dating, he was like trying to say things to deter Milton from liking Lydia, and Milton was just basically like stonewalling him. Milton was like, he was obsessed with our relationship and he tried to pry, and I love that he was like straight up, we are not friends. He is not my friend. I don't tell him my business. So I'm happy that Lydia has a partner that stands up for her in that way. But at the same time, Aaliyah's problems with Lydia were before she got with Milton. This isn't Milton's fight. It goes beyond the secret of knowing that she dated Uche. It was the extra things that she did that she didn't have to do. If she really didn't care about Uche, if she really wasn't trying to sabotage their situation, whenever Aaliyah said anything about Uche, her lips should have been sealed. But all that extra stuff of I see myself in you, or even that like rant of her like going off and on about all the things that she knew about Uche, it's like, let's say you didn't mean harm by that. That is already so problematic because this is a fresh relationship for Aaliyah. Aaliyah should have been able to experience those firsts without you being like, oh, and I did this and I did that. Lydia really didn't get enough heat for the situation. I don't know if it was because Uche wasn't there and they just wanted to like wrap up the situation, but it almost felt like they were even cheating Aaliyah out of the experience in the reunion to get her answers, to vent her frustrations, because this was a unique situation, but because it was a unique situation, she should have been given the floor to let out her grievances. And I just didn't appreciate that they were just basically like, well, they're married now, so we worked out for somebody. Like the experiment wasn't ruined all the way. And it's like, F you. Like, if I were Aaliyah handles herself really well because I would be pissed to see my ex-friend that purposely went out of her way to ruin my situation have her happy ending. Aaliyah is much more mature than I could ever be. Because, whoo! But at the same time, I'm also like, you know what, Aaliyah? You dodged 2 bullets. You don't have a snake as a friend, and you're not dealing with a narcissist as a man. Because imagine having Uche as your man full time, because she did date him a little bit, and I'm just like, why would you do that? But she has a new person, and she can close this chapter. But I do think that Uche is a coward for not facing the reunion wrath. Because you know what's going to happen now. We're about to see Uche up in everybody's podcast having some sort of tell-all because he wants the full attention on him. You just know it. I'm sorry, I'm still on this. I hated that Lydia kept saying every time Aaliyah would like express something, Lydia was like, I did care for you. I really do love you and I still want the best for you. It's like, no, you don't. And it feels like insult to injury. And I really feel for Aaliyah. I mean, like, they were friends, and friendship breakups sometimes hurt more than romantic breakups. I know they weren't friends for very long, but they were trauma bonded. So I mean, it's been a year and a half. I really do hope Aaliyah has recovered because she deserved so much better than what she got. Anyway, to wrap up, JP showed up with his American flag socks. Who surprised? Not I. And Taylor looked good. Incredible. And JP was in there like, yeah, Mexico was hard to watch. Basically, that he wishes that he did better. And it's like, too late. And he's like, yeah, the cameras made me feel like I had to go back into my shell. And Taylor was like, oh, yeah? Then what was your excuse when the cameras weren't there? Because the man did not like her. She told him, she was like, listen, I don't think you were attracted to me. You belittled me. And he gave her some weak apology. She was like, sure, like, I forgive you, because she's moved on. And he's apparently in a long-term relationship that apparently he talks a lot in. But my thing is, he apologized, right? But then his apology meant nothing because 2 seconds later, when they ask him about the makeup thing, he goes on and on about how off-putting it was to see her with makeup the first day. And it's like, sir, you still don't get it? You are as dense as can be. Why even waste our time with, or Taylor's, with an apology? She's a class act, though. She was just like, let's wrap this up. I'm over it. And then at the end, they all played some game where they write a song to describe their Love is Blind experience. And you really could tell that they were scrambling for ideas. Next time, just show us all the couples. I would have loved to have seen Carter and Renee. I would have loved to have seen everybody, honestly. Also, one thing, I don't appreciate black women being the butt of a joke. At the end, I think one of the Lachey's was like, can anyone tell me what Miriam does for work? I don't like that joke of like, we don't know what she does for work. She's clearly a scientist that also has a business. It's not any different from Uche being a lawyer that also has a software company. Multiple people in the cast are multi-hyphenates. So I don't appreciate that. For anyone at Kinetic, stop bullying the black women. You're going to cast black women. Let us see more of them. Because apparently, 2 of them got engaged, but we didn't see them. I would like to see them. Thank you. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know what you think. Were you disappointed by this reunion? Was there anything that really surprised you? Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. I post videos weekly, so do subscribe if you haven't and like this video. It really does help me a lot. See ya! I also need to know what boob tape these girls be wearing because I was scared for some nip slips.